Welcome, this is Chef Stevens, and today I'm going to show you guys how to make a braised glazed beef short rib. Alright, well we're going to start out by chopping up our base flavors of mirepoix, and all mirepoix is 2 parts onion to 1 part celery and 1 part carrot. So we're just going to roughly chop up our ingredients and placing them in a bowl and setting them to the side. Now as I chop up my onion, yes, I'm leaving the peel on. That is just a personal preference. You can peel it off, but I feel that it adds extra flavor, and we'll be removing these ingredients later on in the cooking process. Alright, well I'm just going to quickly chop up some garlic for some extra flavor and place it into the bowl of mirepoix. Alright, well we're going to add some fat to a hot pan, and my fat of choice is half canola oil and half clarified butter. Now we're going to add our short ribs to the hot fat, giving them a nice sear to each side. You're going to allow each side to sear for a couple minutes, allowing a nice brown even sear to each side. So as you can see, I'm rotating each a piece of short rib, allowing them just to sit for a couple minutes as they sear. You don't want to peak. You just want them to sit there in that hot grease to get that nice sear. Now, once they're done searing, you're going to remove them from the fat and set to this side, and you're going to add the mirepoix. Now, we're going to saute off our mirepoix until they're nice and brown or to caramelize, giving extra flavor. Alright, once our mirepoix has caramelized, we're going to deglaze our pan with some red wine. Once we add the red wine, we're just going to reduce down long enough to allow the alcohol to evaporate off. Alright, now since our red wine has reduced down, we're going to add some fresh herbs. And the herbs I'm using today is some fresh thyme and Italian parsley. Now once we have those placed down, we're going to take our meat and we're going to place it bone down, arranging them, just giving them some space in between. Now that we have our meat settled down in a pan, we're going to take some roasted chicken stock that I made earlier, and we're going to put it into the pan. We're going to pour just enough to fill up the pan where it's going to cover part of the meat. Now that we have our pan filled with our stock, we're going to cover it with aluminum foil. Once we have it completely covered, we're going to take our short ribs and place into a cold oven, and we're going to set our oven at 200 degrees, allowing the temperature to come up slowly. And we're going to allow our short ribs to braise for 3 to 4 hours. Now that our short ribs have had time to braise, we're going to remove them to the pan and set to the side to allow to rest. Alright, now it's time to drain all our stock and our drippings from our spent mirepoix. We have extracted all the flavors that we are going to get from the onions, carrots, and celery. Then we're going to strain it one more time through a fine mesh strainer. We want to collect the small particles that were left behind, trying to keep that out of our finished stock. Now we're going to take our stock and our drippings, and we're going to bring it to just above a simmer. And we're going to allow it to reduce to about halfway. And the reason why we want to do this step is to help cut down the time it's going to take to make our glaze. Alright, now we're going to start our glaze, and we're going to start out by adding some red wine to a pan. I'm also going to add some fresh herbs and fresh mirepoix. Now this step is optional. This just helps reinforce the flavors. Now we're going to reduce our red wine, allowing the alcohol to evaporate. And once it does, we're going to remove our herbs and mirepoix. And then we're going to add our reduced stock. And once we add our reduced stock, we're going to rapidly reduce this down until it starts to get thick. Now that our glaze has started to thicken, we're going to place the short ribs into the glaze, allowing the hot glaze to rewarm the meat through. And we're going to continue to reduce this glaze down to about a medium nappe, which will allow the glaze to stick to the ribs. Now that our ribs are done, it's time to start plating. I'm going to start out by adding some roasted garlic and chives mashed potatoes. And then I'm going to add some glazed rainbow baby carrots. Now I'm going to arrange my glazed short ribs onto my plate. I'm going to double stack them on top of each other. And after adding my ribs, I'm going to take a spoon of glaze and I'm going to pour it on top, and then I'm going to swirl my spoon around the plate. Unfortunately, my glaze was thicker than what I like, and it didn't roll off my spoon as easily. So now I'm going to go around and clean up my mess, and then I'm going to top with some chives. Thank you for watching, and I hope that you enjoyed this video.